Speaking of chunky boys,
Yeah, what's
my
up?
dogs have recently put on some fucking weight,
Have they?
and I found out why.
Why?
So I feed them once because they're all neutered, right?
Uh-huh.
So
Oh,
their
Jesus. I
metabolism
was like,
slows
are
down.
puppies too? Damn.
Yeah.
They're all
Um,
males too, aren't they?
yeah. Um,
That's like,
so I do one. It's like a small Tupperware thing,
yeah.
but I do one in the morning for each of them, and then
Mhm.
one at 6.
Same as I do.
Well, sometimes when I forget, my wife will, pick up where I left off and feed the puppies.
Uh-huh.
She's been giving them 2.5 full scoops per meal.
Wow. That's a lot more.
She's giving
She,
them over an entire day's meal
yeah,
in one sitting.
she asked me the other day. She was like, "We still give them 2 cups, right?" And I was like, "No,
No, never.
no, you don't. There's
Never.
no way." She's like, "Oh, I thought we were supposed to." No, no, we haven't done that since they were fucking yay big.
Oh my god. I don't even feed her
This
that
is
much.
why. This is why I have automatic feeders. I don't even have to remember.
I,
They do
I
it for
can't
me.
do automatic feeders. Well, you have cats, so that's a different story.
Yeah,
Yes, I do. And they would wake you up worse than dogs in the morning. So
but
Um,
also my brain would make me forget
Same.
that it was even there.
Mhm.
So the thing would be empty for
For
a
like
long
3
ass
days.
time.
Yeah,
yeah.
before I
Yeah.
noticed.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, because
I have to have the routine structure.
I got them the automatic water filler, so it has the tank in the back, and like I forget, which I've been a lot better with it because she's really good at telling me that hey, the water's empty, and I'm thirsty. But when I was just him, he would drink that whole thing, and it'd be like a day, and it'd be like time for the bed, and I'd be like, I'd get him, and we'd go outside, and I'd be like, oh shit, your water's empty.
Speaking of signaling for water, we just do a big bucket now. I
Yeah,
used to do the jug that automatically
the
refills
same one I
the
have.
dish.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we switched to a bucket because they're fucking thirsty as shit because it's hot out and shit like that.
Well, and they're
Just do a
also
big bucket.
big
They can all
dogs too.
fit their head. Yeah, they can all fit their heads in at the same time, and it's
Yeah.
the funniest thing. But when it's empty, my dogs will pick it up by the handle and yeet it
Throw it
across
at
the
you.
room to let me know, hey, we're thirsty, and there's still
That's
fucking
great.
water.
I love that.
That is great. Okay, well, my camera's just not
One
turning.
of my cats, when it's hungry, will go to the automatic feeder and literally, like, when you've seen kids try and stick their hands up vending machines, like he's over there trying to
Trying
do
to
that.
grab
He's
it.
taking his hand of the feeder.
Hey,
It's great.
my food.
Oh god, that's funny. Well, welcome to the good, bad, and the undiagnosed. That's a cold open. We're not. I'm not taking that out. Welcome to the first episode. I don't know if we're gonna get sued for that name because I don't. I mean, fucking. If anybody watches this, I don't know if that's far enough off to not get sued, or if it's close enough to be considered satire because you can't sue for jokes. So I don't know, but we're gonna stick with it.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Anyways, Jen is fighting invisible ghosts,
Sorry.
I'm swinging on my demons.
which is actually a great segue to what we're talking about today: supernatural. And I'm gonna start you guys out with a story. Actually, it's 2 stories. The first one has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but I'm excited for it. And the second one has to do with what we're talking about today. So I have my JBL headphones, these things, little earbuds. Like 3 days ago, I had one in. I was waiting on a locksmith to come unlock my truck because I only have one set of keys locked them in there. I had my earbud in, just listening to music, and he calls me. So I answer it, and I go outside, and like hang up, and I take my earbud out of my ear and put it in my pocket, and it's just sitting in there. Come back inside, do whatever, and this was Wednesday when I was going to class, and like I do whatever, and it's like 5:30. This was all at like 2, and it's like 5:30 now. Go to get my earbud, check my pocket. It's not in there. I'm like, okay, that's great. So maybe I thought maybe because ADD brain, I just don't fucking remember. I was like, took it out, put it on the counter somewhere. Maybe it fell off. Whatever, I'll find it later. 2 days go by. Cannot find this. And I've been outside. Like, I walked the whole path to my truck, looked under my truck, looked everywhere. Could not find it. And mind you, those 2 days it was missing, monsoons happened. So, like, my whole parking lot flooded and just washed out. So I was like, it's gone. It just got washed away if it was outside. Even if it was outside, it's probably ruined now because of the water. I walked out yesterday, and I just happened to look down right on the outside of my like little pavement area outside my door. Lo and behold, there it is, smushed into the ground. So I pick it up, I'm like, oh, cool. I was like, I'll check it, I'll put it on the charger, see if it works. I plop it in the little thing. It lights up like it's charging. I'll test it later. Take it out, put it in my ear. The sumbitch works fine. Nothing happened. I guess it fell out of my pocket when I was coming in the house, and I just smooshed it into the ground, and that's where it stayed for 2 days.
It was just hanging out.
I think
It's planted his earbud.
I think that's what happened because I had my house keys in my pocket. When I pulled them out, it fell out with it, and it just stayed there. I was really upset because they're like $80 to buy a new set.
Jeez.
They're JBLs. They're a really good brand.
I definitely thought you were going to segue into, and then it just showed up, and I think a ghost like left it there. That's
Oh,
where
no.
I thought you were going.
No, this one's much more spoopy. I'm just retarded. Anyways, so if you will, picture yourself deep South Louisiana. I'm on a military installation called Fort Polk, Louisiana.
Oh, no.
This is not in the field, which there's a lot of stuff out there that I have encountered that is probably haunted, and I just noped out of because I was like, no, I don't want to be here. But I'm on my like on base housing, and I had like a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, and I was like just a fresh E5, married, no kids. Don't know how I got this house. But my wife was gone. Because she worked when she was traveling. Or she traveled when she was working. I should say that backwards. So I'm like, I go to lay down, fall asleep. And it was one of those things where like I was halfway in sleep, halfway awake. I had my headphones in. I was listening to some ASMR. And like there's this lady standing at the end of my bed. Just like standing there. And like in my half asleep state, I'm like, there's a lady there. And then I wake up because I was like, there's a lady there that's not supposed to be there.
Finally sank in.
And I like wake up fully and I like sit up and she's fucking gone. Like, gone. I was like, I know, scary, right? I was like, that's weird. So I got up and I had like an upstairs part to my house. So I was like looking, checked like my hallway to my spare bedroom, my bathroom and all that stuff. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna go to bed now. So I just like, I walked back and I lay down to go to bed. And mind you, my dogs are downstairs with the baby gate up on the stairs because we didn't let them upstairs at this point. So they physically can't get upstairs. So I go to lay down. I actually fall asleep at this point. It's maybe like midnight, I think, by now. I get woken up to something very cold and wet. Just like up the bottom of my foot. Like a dog licks the bottom of my foot. And I wake up cold sweat. Just like, what the hell just happened? So I get up. No dog. Because they're downstairs. They can't get upstairs. What the fuck? So at this point, I get my home defense thing. And like I get up and I'm like, I'm yelling in my house at this point. I was like, if anyone is in my house, please announce yourself. Because if you do not, you're going to die. And like I'm like going through the top part of my house. No one's there. So either they're very sneaky and my dogs just don't give a shit about home intruders, or there was a ghost. And that's going to what we're talking about today. I've got a lot of stories. I
have 2 questions.
Yes.
One, after you saw the lady and went back to sleep, did you leave the lights on?
No.
Or were you like, okay, you turned them off?
I turned them off.
Brave. Second question was, apparently your ghost has a foot fetish. So that's
apparently, cool. It's very nice.
Yeah.
So
standing
also
at the foot of your bed and then licking your feet.
and then licking my feet. So also like a thing that I don't really remember if it was like how I envisioned it, or if it's like the fever part of my brain. It's like well, I don't know. Exaggerating the details. I could not think of that word. But for some reason, I had pictured her with like a bigger head. Like her body was normal, but her head was like extra large. I don't know why. Maybe I think that's like the fever part of my brain, just being like, exaggerating the details of it. But
Or it was
Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland.
no. Well, yeah, that one works.
Well, that's
Okay.
a good
I
visual.
can't remember
Yeah.
what I was gonna say.
I don't either. The Johnny Depp version, not the other one, though. I think she has a big head in the other version as well. I don't remember.
I can't remember.
I know she does in the Johnny Depp version.
Played by Helena Bonham Carter.
Is it?
Hmm.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
I don't remember actors. That many actors.
Yep.
I'm just terrible with names.
Same.
Well,
I don't know
thanks.
either one of your names. I just know your faces.
My name, yeah. Anyways, so
Thanks
since
a
we're
lie.
since we're telling stories,
Yeah.
I have so for the longest I was a non-believer in the supernatural and like ghosts and all that shit. I was
Same.
like,
I
no.
wanted to so bad. I just like I
I
had
just
nothing.
think more logically. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like I can if stuff can be explained, it's not supernatural. It's not magical. Whatever. So on a military installation back in Germany, which I'm
best
starting to
ones.
see a trend. Starting to see a trend here. Maybe they're haunted, all of them. But me and my friends were bored, and they were like, "Hey, I got this Ouija board. Let's play." I was
Oh,
like, "Sure, yeah, whatever. That sounds like fun, I guess, because I'd never fucking used one before." So I was like, "Sure, whatever." So for about a month, maybe a month and a half, we would every weekend come to my room because I didn't give a shit, and everybody else was too scared to be like, "No, don't do it in my room." So it's like, we'll just do it in my room, whatever. Every weekend we'd fucking play the game, and I was under the impression that somebody was moving it. I was always under the assumption that
that
it was
someone
just
was just
I
pushing
don't
the
know.
thing.
Yeah, I don't know if they took turns and like you know what I mean. Like everybody was in on it. Like, oh, let's get into it or whatever. But I just
Let's
assumed
get in.
somebody was fucking moving it because I
Mhm.
was like, okay, yeah, sure, like yeah, it's a ghost, whatever. And then this one day, we made contact with this little girl named Valerie, and we went through the normal questions, like fucking like what? No, what was it? Name, um, what time frame you're from. That's not how we asked the question, but like stuff
What
like
year
that.
are you from or something?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And we wound up talking to this one girl for fucking like the entire weekend.
Mhm.
And somehow we got to the question of like, or yeah, so she said we had asked something and she was like, oh, she's afraid. I think it was like, why are you in this location? Or how did you end up here? Something like that.
Okay.
She was like, she's afraid. And they were like, the fuck, why? And she said something was chasing her. And I don't know why, but we kept delving further and we found out it was like some form of Reaper as we know it. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, these guys are good at this point. You guys are fucking
We're
you're rustling my jimmies. You got
my Jimmy's
you're
Russell,
fucking
guys.
you're good. And now mind you, we're on the floor in the center of our room. We're all in a circle. Like there's nobody behind me. There's nobody behind anybody. It's just us in the circle with our hands on the fucking thing. So we start trying to calm her down and shit. And we were like, oh, do you like music? Can you name a song that you like? And they were gonna play it on the thing. And she was like, yeah, it's from the movie Sound of Music or the play, whatever.
Yeah.
And
Play movie. There's both.
yeah, it was Edelweiss. So my boy puts it on, comes back over, and they're like, oh, do you like this song? Can you hear it? And fucking, it felt like somebody flicked my ear. Dude, when I tell you, I shit myself, bro.
Oh.
Shit my pants, dude. I had to go. I was like, dude, I'm not. We're done.
I'm
Put
leaving.
this thing the fuck away. We're never touching this fucking piece of shit again. I'm gonna go burn it. We're done, dude. Ever since that day, I've never fucked with a Ouija board again.
Oh god.
Never again. Nope. And it's like I replay it over in my head again, like, oh, maybe it was the wind or like a bug or something. You know what I mean? But I've had people flick my ear. I know that feeling very well. That bitch flicked my ear. Ah, fuck that.
Well, so that's I'm gonna tell some stories later, but I want to give Jen a chance to talk as well. So that right there, like the feeling, is like I think the one thing that really separates it from just being like something you fever dreamed or something you imagined just because of fear and ambiance and stuff like that, to something actually happening.
Yep.
Yep, never again. Fuck that. And that's why I
So
don't like scary games.
I love them. I love them so much.
I will start by saying, but I'm probably the most logical thinking person in this group.
Absolutely.
Just saying.
Since you got your fucking degree and you know everything.
And you know everything.
I'm not saying I know everything. I'm just saying I think a lot more logically. So I'm definitely like the Dana Scully of X-Files. Like,
I don't
I'm
know who that
open.
is.
You've never seen X-Files? Oh my
I've probably
gosh.
seen an episode.
So disappointed. Okay, so it's they're partners, okay? And
Mhm.
David Duchovny plays the believer partner. You know, he believes in everything,
Mm.
aliens, all of it, okay? And she is the scientist that is paired up with him to essentially prove each of his cases wrong, that there are no, unexplained things. And it turns out that several of the things do become
Mhm.
unexplainable.
Mhm.
But she approaches it very much from a mindset of, I'm not saying no, but I'm also not saying yes. I can't prove it wrong, but I also can't prove it real.
Mhm.
And I actually have never had a physical encounter like that, um, or even something visual either. We've had weird things happen
Mhm.
in my house when I was a kid, or at this old church we used to go to, but never anything physical. So I'm still on the line of like, is it just people's imagination,
Mhm.
or is it real? So I'm bordering that line.
So
But
I've always had a very vivid imagination. Childhood and up, I've always been able to think of something and then like make that something into more, just using imagination and stuff like that. Um and like I think that has plagued me with very vivid nightmares, because
Nightmare.
my entire childhood I've had good dreams, like I remember good dreams, but like I've had more vivid bad dreams than I've had good dreams.
Mhm.
Like the dreams where you can physically feel what's going on inside them. Not lucid dreaming, like you're not in control. You just feel physically the things that are going on inside them. I have those constantly. And I love them and hate them because they're very cool in a sense, like thinking about them, but also they're not fun to deal with nightmares like that. Um, because that's gonna bring me to my second story. Good old the Iraq in Baghdad. I think I've told both of you this story actually.
Oh
I
my.
know I've told David this story, but the palace in the center of Baghdad, Saddam Hussein's palace that we hit with Tomahawk missiles. I was not there when it was hit. It was much later, in the year 2017. I was stationed on that little fob there, and I've been like all through that building, basement level all the way to the top level. I have walked it because you can like kind of go in there, or we were allowed to, and you can like explore and stuff like that. And there's tunnels. I don't know if they actually exist or not because they sealed them off. But supposedly there was tunnels that go under it, and then he could escape into the city in like various locations if he needed to. But anyways, I think it was like halfway through the deployment. We were on night shift, going up like I think 1 o'clock in the morning. Is religious 1 o'clock in the morning. Got to use the bathroom, so I have to come all the way down 8 flights of stairs and out this building. And mind you, it's 8 flights of stairs down and then like a very long hallway out of this building to use the bathroom, and then you got to go all the way back up. So doing all this, whatever, and then the first night I get done with my shift and I go lay down. And the reason you'll see the reason I'm tying dreams into this to begin with, was I go lay down, go to sleep, and like I said, I've always been plagued with nightmares. But this one, I fall asleep, and I have a phobia of spiders. And through exposure therapy, I've gotten a lot better with spiders. Like I can mess with them. I used to just see them and be like, nah, and leave. Like I'm done. I'm out. But yeah, through like forcing myself to interact with them, I've gotten a lot better with my phobia of them. But I lay down, and in my dream, it is my first deployment team that I was with, on patrol. We're just like walking through this like empty field of grass, and then like we come across this doorway, just no walls, no nothing, just a doorway in the middle of this field. I was like, oh, fuck it, and I open it and I go through, and it's like transporting basically. You know, you like walk through and you're in a different area. Well, once we walk through, there's this massive tree in the distance, and we start like walking towards it. And the closer we get, the more like white, fluffy, like kind of cotton ball stuff, like strewn across the grass and like blowing in the wind and stuff. Well, the closer we get to this tree, the bigger the tree gets, and then like there's strands of what I know now to be spider webs, but in the dream I had no idea. But they were like as thick as like my arm, running up like the tree and like across it. So our dumbasses are like, oh, let's go look at this tree, and we're like all around this tree, and we look up to see the entire tree is covered in spiders, and not normal spiders, human-sized tarantulas. So my buddy gets this great idea. He's like, I'm gonna throw a knife at one. And he misses, hits the tree, and you can like hear the thunk of the tree. Well, they all start moving. This entire fucking tree full of spiders just begins like shifting and moving. So I, with my fear of spiders, am like, nope, I dip out and I start running. Just away from the tree. I'm just gone. Well, behind me, I can hear my friends dying to these spiders. And then I feel something, like physically feel something hit my back and then like latch into the back of my neck. And then I'm out and I wake up. So that's nightmare 1. This is a multiple night process. That's nightmare 1. Second night, same thing. I'm back up on this building. Whatever. Come down the next morning. Go to bed. Go to sleep. Same thing. We're on patrol again. But if you've ever watched the Jack and the Beanstalk movie, where they have to like go up and there's like giants and all that stuff up there, it's a really good movie. I haven't watched it, but I highly recommend it.
I don't think I've seen it. I don't think I've seen it.
Okay.
I know the story, but
yeah, it's really
I don't think
good.
I've watched it.
But we're on patrol and we come across this giant who starts chasing us, and so we dip the fuck out. This one's a lot shorter, a lot more condensed than the first one. So we dip out again, and I'm running, which I'm not the fastest, but somehow I'm in the lead. And I can still hear people getting grabbed and like crushed and like dying behind me. And then I'm like running and I feel something grab my feet and like I trip, and then I feel something hit me from behind and like I wake up again. It's nightmare 2.
Like that.
It's nightmare 2. So I think I had the next day off and like whatever, nothing. So there's 3 days in. 4th day, go up, come down, I go to sleep. And my roommate, who works the same shift as me, used to go to the gym after shift, and I would go to bed because I would go in the middle of the night to the gym when it was empty. So I go in, go lay down, go to bed, and my roommate leaves. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Actually, no, my roommate doesn't leave. That's why I knew. So my roommate, who used to go to the gym during the day, said, no, I'm not going today. He goes to sleep. So I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. I go down and lay to sleep, and like I'm starting to fall asleep, and I see the door open. Light comes in, you know, because it's daylight, and it closes. And I'm like, okay, whatever. He must be going somewhere. And then it opens again. I'm like, what? Did he forget his keys or something? Or like, what happened? And then the door closes, and I see this figure kind of like walk in. Because like the door is here, my bed is directly in front of the door. Like you just walk into our door straight in the end of my bed. So I see this figure walk in and stop at the end of my bed, and I'm just like laying there like, that's fucking weird. And like I'm laying there, and then they kind of start to walk around the end of my bed and like up towards my head is. So I try to like sit up, and I realize I can't sit up.
Oh no.
Good old sleep paralysis is set in. So I'm sitting there like struggling, like I'm laying on my side looking at my wall locker, just like and like I see this figure walking up towards my head, and it just like stands over me, like looming, looking down at me. But all I can see is like the bottom of the waist to like mid thigh, and it's a female standing in front of me because she's wearing like a long like dress sort of thing, like long shirt, long dress thing, and like I'm fighting and fighting, and finally I like, you know, I was like wake up, and my roommate walks around the end of our wall walk, and he's like, "Are you good?" I was like, "No, no, no." The next night, same thing. Go back to sleep. And in this building on the 4th floor, because I remember this, I skipped a whole segment of this story. I forgot. I forgot because this doesn't tie any of the ghost stuff into it. I forgot. Okay, so anyways, on the 4th floor of this building, when you're walking up, there's a door that's like kind of half closed, but you can't like open it any further because of the rubble. So, walking up and down it, I always have my flashlight, just like, you know, looking in the doorways and stuff. The reason I brought up the bathroom stuff was coming down, I would do the same thing. And on the first trip down, on night 1, I shined it in that room, nothing, you know, and I was like halfway down the stairs onto the next floor, and something very large in that room like fell over and like made a bunch of noise, like big enough it wasn't a cat or a dog that could get in there. It was big, and I was like, no, I'm leaving, and so I just left. I was like, I'm not turning around, no.
Fuck this shit, I'm out.
The second night, same floor, same door. Tried my flashlight in there, kind of didn't really look. But out of the corner of my eye, I saw my light catch on something in the doorway. And it was one of those things where I'm like stepping onto the stairs, and I'm like, do I turn around? No. And I just kept going. But anyways, the last night of everything happening, which is why I said my nightmares were supernatural as well, because I fell asleep and I had a dream. In my dream, I'm walking up the stairs and I get to the 4th floor and I turn my back to that door and I feel something grab me and like starts dragging me into this doorway. Like I'm fighting it, like, oh, I don't want to go. You know, I'm fighting it in my dream. Well, I start to wake up out of my dream, but I can still feel whatever is pulling me into the wall of my room, because my bed was like up against like the wall in the corner. I can feel whatever's pulling me into the wall, and like I'm fighting it. I go back into the dream, getting pulled into the door, wake up out of the dream, still getting pulled into the wall, and eventually I like fight it enough to wake up and like out of it. And then I don't have any more nightmares after that. But I think something was trying to haunt me / possess me.
Well, I'm seeing a trend here with you being asleep on a bed and a spooky female.
It's great.
One, you're possessed, or you're being haunted, and that shit's just never gonna go away. 2, maybe we have some insight now to why your preferences are your preferences.
All right, that's beside the point. That's beside the point. That's beside the point.
I'm just saying.
Okay. I've got a fun one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not fun, but this is one of my most closest interactions that has me, you know, on the line. So I went to church like every time the doors were open. We were there all the time when I was younger, from like the ages of like 8 to, I don't know, 13. Every time the doors were open.
Felt like we all lived the same childhood.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Nope.
we were there all the time. It was this big, huge, 3-story building, and it also had a basement. Big old brick building, had been around forever. One of those ones that has like the carvings on the outside, kind of like the post offices do.
Yep.
Okay. So my mom actually cleaned the church, like to help out or whatever. So my sister and I would go up there with her while she was doing that, and we would just like play in the nursery with the toys or whatever. There was one time where we had a couple friends with us, and we went up to the 3rd floor, which was only like half finished. They had been like remodeling it. So we're kind of sneaking around, checking out cool stuff, and it had like the back escape stairway that like the floor lifted up and you could go down this creepy stairway. And then back there was like the big bell tower where you could pull the rope and ring the bell and all that. Okay, super creepy old church to begin with.
Yeah.
So we're up in one of these rooms on the 3rd floor, and there's just like a bunch of like storage chairs. There's a ping pong table, just clutter everywhere. So we're sitting in there, like looking around, and I pick up this pamphlet, and I was like, "Oh, this is weird." And it's one of those pamphlets they give out when someone dies, and you go to their funeral, like the little piece of paper about their life or
Like
whatever.
the obituary stuff.
Yeah, like with all their about them stuff that they give you. So I was like, "Oh, somebody must have died here." And the instant I said somebody must have died here, that ping pong table, nobody around it, nobody had gone near it, falls over. And it's like loud as hell. We're all scared. We all start sprinting down the stairs. So we're, terrified. What the heck happened? Well, come to find out, this building was a BPOE building, which is, I'm going to read, I had to look up what the words were because I forgot. Benevolent and Protective Order of Elks. Okay, so this was like, if you've ever heard of the Elks Lodge, this is like the very beginning of that. And what they
Oh
used to
my
do,
God, David,
yes,
you didn't live in the region of the United States that Jen and I'm assuming grew up
yes,
in, because I also had an Elks
yes,
Lodge. And the
yes,
church she is describing is the exact church I had to go to growing up as well.
yes, right. And so there's this what they have is called the hour of recollection. So you have heard the tolling of 11 strokes. This is to impress upon you that with us the hour of 11 has a tender significance. Wherever elks may roam, whatever their lot in life may be, when this hour falls upon the dial of night, the great heart of elkdom swells and throbs. It is the golden hour of recollection. The homecoming of those who wander, the mystic roll call of those who will come no more, living or dead. And then there's more, fluffy stuff or whatever. But essentially, they're doing like Day of the Dead, but they do it every day at 11.
It's the witching hour,
Well,
essentially.
yeah, exactly. So
Fuck that.
you want to guess what time we were at that church that night with my
11.
mom cleaning?
11
Right
Yep.
around 11. It
Yep.
was the craziest thing. And I didn't, it was creepy and I was younger. And so I was just like, oh, it's just kids' imaginations.
Yeah.
But then as we found out more about the building as I got older, and I was just like,
Oh.
and we had other weird stuff happen in that building too, because we were there late a lot, like after church services, and my mom would be cleaning. So yeah, that was one where I was kind of like, all right, this is strange. This is really strange.
Yeah.
So
Ours was very similar. I never had any experiences in it because I never went in the church because I just didn't want to be there. But a bunch of my friends, and that was where we did like Cub Scouts and Boy Scout stuff too, was in the church. So like we were always there like late at night or stuff like that. So a bunch of my friends growing up would always like spout stories of like, oh, this happened, or oh, this happened, or like, oh, whatever. And I would never believe them because I'm like, okay, they're just telling stories. Even though I wanted to believe in the supernatural and like ghosts and stuff like that growing up, I was like, but they're just telling stories. And then growing up and having all that stuff, I'm like, no, probably.
Yeah,
yep,
I've only had the
yep,
one thing ever happen to me. Well, two, but I was young, and all it really was like I had woke up and it was like the sun had just started rising.
Mm.
Um, and the way my bed was set up is I used to sleep on my back a lot. So when you look up or when you wake up, open your eyes, the first thing you see besides the ceiling is the window that was right on the other side of my room. And we had the translucent curtains, the ones that you can like
sheer,
kind of see through.
sheer,
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay, the
sheer.
sheer.
There you go. I'm retarded. All right.
no, translucent.
Um,
That's good. I knew what you
and
meant.
and I was like half sleep, half awake,
Isn't
and
sheer
I
a synonym of translucent?
or is
They're called
translucent a
sheer
synonym
curtains.
of
They're called
sheer?
sheer. Anyway, finish your story. You look up the window.
And there was like a face of a woman
Hmm.
just in the fucking like it wasn't defined where you could see like her pupils, her teeth and shit like that,
Yeah.
but you could tell it was the hair, the bone structure, everything. You could tell it was a female's face, and it was just
You wanna
Wow.
you wanna hear a story of what I like to refer to as ant, like the ANT as the bug, Shaggy and Scooby. So growing up, like I said, very vivid imagination. Um, I think this one was more of a fever dream than supernatural, or at least I'm equating it to a fever dream. but I would always like wake up multiple times a night, just because of dreams or whatever. Well, sometimes when I would wake up, whether it be like fuzzy vision or whatever, at the foot of my bed, and this is when I had bunk beds too. This is like very young. I was very, very young. Whenever I'd wake up, I would see Shaggy and Scooby standing at the end of my bed, but they would look like they were made of a roiling pile of ants. Just like, kind of like in the corner of my room, just like shifting, but it was Shaggy and Scooby.
That's strange. That is very strange.
Like I said, I think that one is more of a fever dream than anything. But
Was the color scheme still there?
there was no color.
Even though they were made.
No, there was no color.
Oh,
You could just
black
tell by the
ants.
shape that it was Shaggy and Scooby. It just looked like 1,000/millions of ants were like crawling on them.
Yeah, fuck that.
You wanna know what the weird part was too?
I think that might be worse.
I rarely watched Scooby Doo growing up.
Fuck that.
Like I watched the movies, the 3 movies that they did, like the Zombie Island one, the other 2.
The
Yeah.
only live actions that actually work.
Oh, the live actions are great. I was talking about the animated ones.
Oh.
The ones before maybe around the same time as the live action, I don't remember. But there was the 3 animated movies that were very good.
Mhm.
Oh, there's 4. There was only like 3 good ones. With the vampire chicks.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there it is.
Yep.
There's the Zombie Island one with the cat ladies that were like werecats.
That's a good one.
And then there was maybe there is only 3. The cyber one where they go into cyberspace and fight
Yep.
the virus. And Shaggy and Scooby
I
find
don't remember that.
the female version of Shaggy and Scooby, but they're aliens.
Oh,
We're just gonna blame the '90s
Yeah.
for everything
Yeah.
supernatural.
Yeah.
Because the '90s was just a wild time with fucking purple ketchup and shit like that.
Oh my god, don't remind me of purple ketchup. Anyways, Jen has a list of 1,000 questions in the Discord that we have not touched yet.
stories are good though. Like I
Uh,
have more stories too. We could do that. I just had some questions to stir discussion.
Well, I think we've answered a lot of these, actually.
Yeah.
Well, you guys can
So-
continue to share stories, and I'll do questions because I don't have any more stories.
That's honestly the end of my question or my stories, to be honest with you. Like,
So I have well, there was another one that happened at the church. Again, me and my sister. We were downstairs in the nursery and we're just playing by ourselves over in the corner with some toys, and all of a sudden we hear like buried in this like box of toys or whatever, chest of
Mhm.
toys,
Mhm.
this doll, like one of those talking baby dolls, which are just creepy to begin with. But it, I don't, okay, it said, the direct quote, these were the words: "Play with me and you'll get wet." Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, that sounds perverted now.
Burn the whole
But
fucking church
also,
down.
Yeah,
Burn the
no.
like
whole
the
fucking
whole
church
thing,
down.
what I thought was like, blood wet, of course, as a
Yeah,
kid.
yeah.
But it was the strangest thing. So my sister and I freaked out. We go upstairs, we get my mom, we tell her, my mom comes down there, she digs through the chest because she's afraid of nothing. And so she pulls out this thing, and it does not say that. Like she goes through the different sayings that it talks, and it never says that one. And my sister and I, we would not go back after that. We told my mom, we were like, we will stay at home. That was enough. We're done. Um,
Yeah.
we've had our share of like being there late
Yeah.
at night by ourselves. So yeah,
I
my mom
forgot.
still cleans that church by herself late at night.
Oh. Hey, David.
No fear.
I have a story that'll touch you in a particular way. I'm not changing the way I said that. Because we worked in this building on Fort Carson.
Good wording.
I know, I'm not changing that. I forgot about this story. This one actually legitimately scared me. Like the other ones were
The
rough.
cop?
Yeah. Yeah. So the other ones, like the ones I told already, were like, yeah, like scary at the moment, but this one, like physically, like cold sweat, running Shakespeare. On staff duty.
Shakespeare.
Thank you. I was on staff duty, and you have to do your rounds, check, make sure everything's locked up. It's like it's in the middle of the night at some point. I was tired, and I was like, I'm just gonna go do the rounds again. So I got up, went check the gates and everything. Gates were all locked. And I go in our entrance, or I parked on the opposite entrance, like the big parking lot. Walked the outside to our entrance, and so it's just gonna walk through all the way and then exit on that side. Which, for those who don't know what I'm talking about, it's just a giant long hallway with like bays on the end of it, or like pushed out the side of it. So I go to our entrance, unlock it, start walking through, and I get past. It's ACO. Whatever. I'm not gonna go through the companies, but it's 1 company, 2 company, 3 company, 4 companies, like down the hallway. And I get past our company, check our offices. I think I go in my office because I was in headquarters at that point, in my office to do something and like leave, lock everything up. Get past the next company, and like I'm halfway down the hallway, about to get to the halfway door because there's a door halfway to go outside, and like I hear a door open. So I stop, turn around, and I'm like standing there waiting, kind of like in the middle of the hallway, just like looking, waiting, nothing. And I get this like uneasy feeling in my stomach. And like that tingly, you're like, oh, I don't like it. So I kind of like sit there, and I'm like, all right. I don't hear anything. I start walking again. And at this point, I'm like just to that door to go outside. And like as that doorway opened, the feeling gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And it's like something in my head is telling me run, 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 run. And so I'm just like, I'm getting more and more tense as like I'm walking, and like I hear another door open, and I was like, nope. And I went out the side door and just fucking out, and I left. And I was like, no, I'm not going back. And even now, like I'm getting ah. God, because I think that one, nothing like verbal or physical or anything like that happened. It was just the sense of something being there, and like my brain or whatever in there just telling me like run. I was like,
the one and only time they put me on staff duty, I also had to go do my rounds around the same fucking time.
Yeah.
And I didn't get the intense feeling you got, but I did hear a door, and I just figured it was somebody doing their thing or whatever.
Yeah.
But now thinking about it, after you shared that story, there was nobody fucking there.
Yeah,
the
because
doors were locked.
This was like midnight when I went too.
All of the doors were shut. There was, oh my god.
You're welcome for that.
Oh.
A resurgence of some memories there. Yeah, that one legitimately like scared me and stuck with me. That one was rough. Let's do some questions. Obviously, have you ever used a Ouija board? And what happened?
Yeah.
You're dumb for that.
Have you ever used one, Frank?
No, I have not, and I refuse to use one ever in my life.
I had a coworker who said that his wife had used one as a teenager and had made contact and deals, so to speak, and all this other stuff. And and he was like hardcore, do not do this. And he was a very scientist, like another scientist I work with, very logical person. And he was like, don't even open that door. Don't even open that door. So David, you open the door.
That's the one thing, because like even when I didn't really believe in supernatural, I still was like, I just don't fuck with that. Like, why would you fuck with that? Yeah, why would you test it?
I don't want to test it. I don't push it.
Yeah, fucking idiot,
David.
Why would you
test that?
Why would you test it? Bunch of dumbasses, dude. Anyways, next question, please.
Next question. How would you feel about spending the night in the haunted house? I've done it. How would you guys feel?
Like an actual haunted house, or like a Six Flags haunted house?
Oh, Six Flags haunted house, no, because I just don't feel like dealing with the jump scares. I hate jump scares.
I like jump scares.
I've done the actual haunted house stuff, because of the stories that I just told.
I don't know if I would spend the night in one, but I do want to go visit like haunted places.
It's
there was
with the like EM whatever EMF.
Yeah, EMF stuff.
Yeah. EMF readers and stuff.
Like Phasma?
Yeah.
Like Phasma?
I would absolutely do that.
I would love to.
I would love to do that.
When I was still in Colorado, I was looking up places that we could go because like my wife isn't about that shit at all.
No, she's not.
Um,
No, she's not.
but Jay's wife is 100% into spooky shit. So I was like, dude, we'll go because there was an abandoned. Reset.
Think about
Come
it.
to me.
Blue
Come to
screen.
me.
Shake it loose. Get it out
Come
of
to
there.
me.
Factory, school,
Abandoned mine.
Mine
Like where they
shaft.
used to fucking yeah.
Oh, okay.
But it was like a big area. They had fucking structures and everything, and then you could go into the mines as well. And it's been abandoned for a long ass time.
Where's
It's like
this
looking
at?
at. I would love. I want to say north of you.
I'll
like
probably go
3
to that.
hours.
Makes
3
sense
hours
because
away.
that's where all the mine stuff is.
But yeah, I would, dude. I want to go to haunted places so bad, so bad. I don't know about spending the night though. I don't know.
I
Because
probably not
one,
spend the night.
I
no.
don't like camping, and most of this shit is like there's
Roughing
no
it.
there's
Yeah.
no toilets,
Yeah,
there's
no.
no shower. You
No.
have to fucking camp it out.
Yeah.
And I did enough of that shit in the military. I'm not trying to do that.
I'm
for
a
fun.
glamper now, and that is how I will stay.
Oh, what?
A glamper. It's called
Fancy
glamorous camping.
What a fucking
That face.
diva. Oh my
That is
god.
how I will stay for the rest of my life.
So haunted house. This one is a sort of a story. So I would say I already have many times. If I believe in hauntings, this would be one of those things. So
Okay.
yeah, I know. It's like little things where this is why I'm open-minded about it and not a total no. But so there was this story about my grandfather that he had
Grew up in a
been
cult?
no, no,
Did he
no,
die in the war?
no. He was intimately involved with a lady who was a gypsy.
Oh, okay. I
And
see what now why you use
supposedly,
the intimately.
yes, intimately involved with a lady who was a gypsy. And supposedly her um, father or family or whatever didn't like that. And supposedly they cursed him. Like, that's the story. And the whole thing they said was that, like, my grandfather was really dark complected. He looked mixed, honestly. But they said that he was lighter skinned. Yeah. Well, no, he doesn't look like me. Like, I'm pale, pasty white. I'll get a picture and show you guys.
I was saying no to David, not
He
you.
looks, oh, no, he was actually darker than David. So,
Oh, because
yeah.
David's not
Yeah.
mixed. He's white.
Well, you know what I mean. David's darker than I am.
Not gonna bring race into this.
You know I'm mixed.
I'm darker
You've
than
seen-
David.
You know I'm black from the waist down. You know.
Okay.
Anyways.
Look at that, curly pubes or
Well,
something.
back to my grandfather. Oh my god. But how can I segue from that? Reconvened. Now I'm losing it.
Back to
So-
grandfather, who was intimately involved with a gypsy.
Yes. Okay. So they said he got cursed. They said his eyes used to be blue and his skin
Ugh.
used to be a lot whiter, and then it got darker and his eyes turned to brown, and it was like everything had changed. So if you like, again, I am more on the fence. My mom is very much one of those people who never is afraid of anything. She was afraid to go to my grandparents' house and stay. She said, when you would walk in the door, you could just feel the evil. Like, and my grandfather was a horrible person.
Oh, okay.
He did horrible things. So, you know,
Okay.
it makes sense. Yes,
Yeah.
horrible person. So it makes sense. And like she said, you know, she hated for us to go there. Every time you walked in, you could just feel the evil. And so my grandfather passes away. Actually, he was living with us. Him and my grandma were living with us in like an attached part of our house when he passed away.
Oh, like a mother-in-law's
and then-
cabin?
Yeah, kind of like that. And then ever since then, when I lived with my dad and my family, we had these weird things that would happen. Like, you know, stuff would just appear and like nobody had put it there, or weird things, toys would move, or, you know, just weird occurrences. Yeah. Happened all the time when I lived at home with my parents, both my parents. When my parents got divorced and my dad moved like away, never again did we have anything like that happen ever. Like we had it occurrence after occurrence with my dad there, and then it was like he was carrying that with him.
Beautiful.
It was the strangest thing. Yeah. So
Beautiful.
because of my grandparents' house and my own house as a kid, like I would say to some degree I think I already have. And I don't think it's a ghost though. I would say if I had to guess it would be more like demonic or something like that. So
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, by that logic, me and Frank have camped out in haunted places.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's
Been
why I said
multiple,
yes.
multiple fucking military
Yeah,
installations.
I mean, yeah, I agree. Like if you're staying in those places, that's haunted to me. So yeah.
There's another one on here that not so much a discussion. I just wanted to point it out because I think it's fucking hilarious. Where did it go? Oh, to predict what someone is going to say before they have finished speaking. I feel like that's a personal attack, Jen, because we do that a lot.
Okay,
David and
I
I.
pulled these off of Google. Don't blame me.
I feel
But
like
yes,
you put it in
you
there
do
specifically.
that a lot. Um,
How would you
yeah,
connect that to the supernatural, though?
Yeah.
being able to tell the future or read people's minds, kind of a combination of both of those.
I
So
don't
almost like you're
think-
on that wavelength.
Mhm. I don't think that type of supernatural exists.
Really?
So the like, unless they're just ungodly great at hiding themselves, I don't think it exists. Or the government is just hiding them, and that's a whole separate topic that I don't want to get into.
That's our
For the
conspiracy
conspiracy
episode.
episode, yeah.
But yeah, I don't think like the supernatural power, like as much as I want to, like werewolves, vampires, all that fun stuff, as much as I want those to exist, I don't think they exist.
So
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna make a point on that.
Okay.
Just like everything else, right? There's levels to it.
Yes.
This is what I believe.
Uh-huh.
So just like somebody's ability to inherently be able to calculate fucking mathematical equations.
Yeah.
Some people are leagues above others. Some people struggle.
Mhm.
So I think the same thing exists with like supernatural abilities, especially like
I see what
psychic
you're saying.
connections.
Psychic connections.
So you and me, we fucking finish each other's sentences, or we can share a thought by looking at each other.
We do it all the time.
Right? But me and Jen, we don't have that same connection.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Because Jen is the missing link. She doesn't have that ability.
Okay.
So
I'm the missing link.
Okay.
she's the undiagnosed one. You know what I mean?
There it is. There it is.
But yeah, I think there's just levels to it.
There's just
like,
different levels to it.
I like that
even
thought.
if-
I like that thought. Yeah.
even if so let's say I was a fucking high tier psychic, right? And I could read minds and shit. Why the
Mhm.
fuck would I go around telling people?
This is true. This is true.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'm gonna clarify on that. I don't, because I wouldn't do the same thing either. If I had that ability, maybe use it sparingly or sparingly enough to help myself out. But this is just me being selfish, I guess. But I would not do anything for anybody else because once it gets out that you can do that and that's a thing, skepticism, a whole bunch of other stuff, and especially nowadays too with social media, that shit will get spread everywhere, and then you're just ousted. And then if you have it, you have to prove it, and then there's a whole bunch of other stuff that comes with that, or you just say no and then deal with the fallout of that, and then whatever. Which I guess if you don't have a social media presence, the fallout wouldn't really be that bad, but it would still be everywhere. Which is again why I say I don't think that exists fully, because there's also places I don't remember. It's been a while ago, but they were like, here's $1 million. Come prove without a doubt that you have psychic ability, and if you do that, we'll give you the $1 million. And no one did it.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't. You would fucking.
End
Are you
up
kidding me?
in
You'd become a target.
bunker.
Again, yes, but
I'd go make the $1 million my own way.
that's
Yeah.
true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that brings into the other part of that point that I wanted to make is look at all the talented people in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who's to say that they got that way because they practice or there's some other reason why they're good at what they do?
Yeah.
Like magicians specifically, even though people are like, it's
Magic
fucking
is
fake.
Yeah.
Shut up. You don't know that it's fucking fake.
Why'd you have to pull that into it?
You assume it's fake.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. You assume it's fake because you
Assume
don't
it's
know.
fake. That's true.
Yeah.
I will admit there are good magician. The magician aspect, doesn't really tie into the point that I'm about to make. But like, if you talk about like athletes and people like that have a supernatural ability compared to normal people to like run, jump, fight, mathematics, do computing in their head. That I think goes back to the rational thinking of I tie all of that into genetics because genes and your genetic makeup can do some crazy things because the human body is capable of doing crazy things. Just a lot of us, there are limiters set in place so we don't kill ourselves doing those things. And some people just don't have those limiters, or those limiters like in the muscle aspect. Eddie Hall has a mutation called the Herculean gene. I don't remember the exact thing that your body produces, but your body basically produces a thing saying this is the limit on muscle mass your specific body can put on. Then once you reach that, you stop. You cannot put on any more muscle. Like that's your base strength. That is the tier you can go to. Eddie Hall doesn't have that, so he can just continue. His bone structure will eventually break because his bones cannot withstand that density and stuff like that. But his body does not be like, okay, this is enough. We can't put on anymore. And there are other people like that with the mind stuff, with like their brains just fire faster, shit like that.
So how do you know there isn't a gene that gives you psychic abilities?
We don't.
You don't.
But that's not supernatural. That's biological.
I mean, technically,
Supernatural by definition is anything
Oh,
outside of the realm of normal, parentheses, or quotations, whatever.
Yeah.
okay.
So you could
so
say
I
it's...
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. I'm actually just going to look up the definition.
Oh, you're just looking at the definition of supernatural?
Yeah. So attributed to some force beyond scientific understanding or the laws of nature. So it could go either way. I could
Beyond the
argue
laws
it
of
either way.
scientific nature or scientific understanding is a very broad definition. So, like, aliens or any specific technology that is beyond our understanding is technically supernatural.
Yeah, which is
in-
why I'm saying
Yeah.
if we,
Yeah.
there could be a gene for that, and we'll never know because we're not at that point
The world
in
may
our
never know.
fucking technologic growth. You know what I mean? So
What was that, man? Wouldn't you like to know, newsman? Weatherman? Was it Weatherman?
Yeah,
Weather boy.
weatherman.
Yeah, Weather boy.
Yeah.
Would you like to know, Weather boy?
I think it's interesting they put the Loch Ness Monster on these questions.
Do you believe in the Loch Ness Monster and like Bigfoot and stuff like that?
I think Bigfoot used to exist.
That's
I
where
think
I'm
it was.
at.
I think it was an animal, just like everything else.
Yeah.
And it doesn't exist anymore. But people
So
still want to believe in it. I don't know. I
So,
don't get the hype behind it.
I am I'm gonna sound hypocritical here because I know I said vampires and stuff like that don't exist and like supernatural abilities. I also believe in like Wendigos and stuff like that. Very heavily. And I fucked myself by saying the name because you're not supposed to say the name.
Wendigo?
Yes.
Wendigo.
Because
Yep.
if you say the name,
Skinwalker?
yeah, there it is.
Wendigo!
I do very much believe in that stuff. And
I
that
hope
stuff.
a big strong Wendigo doesn't come kill me. As I'm home alone. Fuck.
I have too. But yeah, like Bigfoot, I think was just some sort of animal or thing that existed and has just become legend at this point, or completely died out, or
I think
just a fucking bear that can walk on two legs that some drunk Tennessean saw and was like, "There's a person." I don't actually know where
big ass.
Bigfoot originated at, but I just went with Tennessee because that was the first thing that popped into my mind.
Well,
Wisconsin.
Bigfoot is all over the world, but he's called different things. So like
Is
the
he really?
Yeti.
Well,
Yes.
okay, I guess the
El
Yeti is up in.
Chupacabra is another version. Like they're all kind of the same.
I thought the Chupacabra was something completely different.
Yeah, I
Well,
thought that was inherent to my
goatsucker.
people.
First off, our people.
You're right. I forgot.
I'm not.
You're the one.
I'm
You're
not.
like
I
the
cannot. I gotta stop with that.
33rd.
I gotta stop with that because yeah. What are you doing?
So yeah, like El Chupacabra it's like in the same realm though. These large creatures who stand on 2 feet, who are humanoid, very hairy. They only call it goat sucker because like that was supposedly what they attacked and ate and stuff.
Was the goats.
But yeah, it's the same. But like there's other names for them like in Asia and stuff too. So I mean, I am gonna say no, just because with as determined as the human race is, I feel like we would have found one by now. It, dead or something else. Like we don't find new species,
Well,
especially something that's that large, that often.
So here's what I'm gonna tell you. We have, I don't know how recent ago this was. I think it was a while ago. We have found bone structures of humanoid people that are giants. They're much larger. Well, loose definition giant. They're much larger than we are normally.
Like 8 feet tall.
Yeah, they're
10 feet
huge.
tall. There, yeah.
So we probably may have, if it existed, in the shape / form that we think they exist in, may have. We just don't know that because we haven't.
All we got is bones.
Yeah, all we got is bones.
Yeah, that's. I mean, again, like I am. If you have scientific evidence, I am there.
So here's
I will believe.
Since we're on this topic as well with the Bigfoot, Chupacabra, stuff like that, dragons. We're all nerds here.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Same. Okay.
I refuse to accept that.
All right, Jen. I see you're hesitant there.
I'm saying I am the exact same way about unicorns, which you guys could probably guess. Like,
yeah.
Like they exist somehow, some way, somewhere.
Yeah.
They are real.
Well, so
I think it's just de-evolution of those creatures. Like dragons were just essentially big lizards that could breathe fire, and I think that was an evolutionary trait that they needed back in the day for whatever fucking purpose. But
yes,
you know what I mean.
So I agree with you on the de-evolution thing and the dying off part I was going to talk about as well. Because if anybody wants to be like skepticism of why dragons don't exist, you can look at the same reasoning she just gave with the Yetis and the big stuff. Every single culture across the world has some sort of legend that deals with a large lizard type dragon thing that we would classify as a dragon, wyvern, whatever the fuck. What was I going to say? Oh, the de-evolution / dying off thing, and probably the same thing that happened with the dinosaurs. Besides the mass extinction thing, dinosaurs are a bad example. The megalodon. We'll look at the megalodon or any sort of large carnivorous creature like the plains wolf, which used to be, or the lobo is what it was called. That thing was the size of a horse. It was a wolf that roamed the plains, and it died off because it couldn't get enough sustenance to feed itself. And I think we killed some of them too. I don't remember how late they existed. But it's the same thing. There's just not enough ecosystem to support them and feed them, and they just died off. Is exactly what I think happened.
Thanks to humans. Woo!
Well, I don't even think it has to deal with us. I think that just had to deal with the ecosystem of the Earth.
Well, yeah, because Pangea, but also because look at all the land we occupy now.
Well, now, yes.
Yeah, man. So back in the day when everything was fucking
wide open,
natural,
yeah,
it was fucking forests, plains. That's it. It was just all open. There was life everywhere. Everything lived in harmony with the earth, and now we're here. But I mean, it's the same thing with unicorns. If I believe wholeheartedly, horses used to have horns.
Horses also used to have 3 toes.
That's weird.
So 2 of them fused into one to get the hoof that you see now. And then if you look on the back, I can't move my hand because my dog's laying on it, but on the back of their ankle, actually no, it's further up. It's like halfway up in between their ankle and their knee. There's a 3rd toe that is now just a vestibule. And it just sits there and you can like peel it off and stuff.
Thanks for the update, horse boy.
You're welcome. I think giraffes are also very distant relatives to horses. I think. I could be very wrong on that, but I think giraffes and horses split at some point, but they have a common ancestor.
Anyways,
I think Jen's looking it up right now. I can see the determination on her face.
I'm curious. Well, because I am curious. You know, where the line split is interesting. I mean, everything. If you believe in evolution, everything has
everything evolved from something. Yeah.
single line. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it was. I don't remember. It's been so long since I've been in any sort of science class that has to do with that. You know, the three major switches. I take a lot of classes.
Yeah.
I took a lot of broad spectrum classes.
So I'm gonna switch topics over to deja vu.
Oh God.
I hate
And
deja vu.
I
yeah,
hate
I
it
hate
and
them as
love it.
well. And whether what do you think that is? Is that supernatural? What is that?
So
I think it is. I'll
go
go
ahead.
first. Okay.
Because I'm gonna be
So-
long-winded as well, so you go ahead.
I've seen some interesting things about this, but the one that sticks out to me the most is somebody made a post, and it was like, you know how some people just have trouble sleeping?
Yeah.
Like in general, they lay down and they
Hello.
just for whatever reason can't sleep.
Yeah.
And they attributed it, or they compared it to in video games. Like, let's take Minecraft for an
You
example.
fucking.
With this-
I hate that
with
one.
this enemy
Yes,
mob,
I hate that one.
You can't sleep because the
Hate
enemy
it.
is there.
Yes.
So I think some form of like, and this ties into other shit too. There's people who believe like the hairs on your arms and shit are like sensory things.
They are.
Yeah.
That's science.
I don't know that that's real. I don't know. I've never looked
science.
it up.
I'm gonna hold on, pause. I'm sorry. I'm gonna give you an experiment to do that proves that hairs on your arms are sensory organs, because they are. So hold your arm, normal, with hair on it, out the car window when you're driving, okay? You can feel the wind. Cool. So you can feel the wind on your arm. Shave your entire arm, like where you got your tattoo, shave it bald. Stick your hand out the window. You will not be able to feel the wind.
You could still feel it on bare skin though.
I'm telling you, do it. Because when I got my tattoo, so this one, it was still shaved. I didn't have the plastic wrap on it or nothing. This was the next day, so it wasn't numb either, and I didn't use numbing cream because I don't think it was around back then.
Who the fuck uses numbing cream?
A lot of people do nowadays. But my arm was shaved, and I stuck it out the window, and this was like the first time I actually, like connected the fact that your hair was sensory, because I knew it for science-wise, but like I didn't connect the dots. Just smooth as fuck. Like you can feel something hitting it, but you don't like feel it the same way as when you do with hair.
I mean, I don't think we're arguing that hair is a sensory organ. Like we
I feel
agree
like-
on that.
no, David
I think it's
was.
whether hair picks up on
just the-
supernatural
Yeah,
occurrences.
That's what I was trying to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry on the
So
tangent then.
you
No,
get
you're good.
goosebumps and feel, when
Mhm.
the temperature changes.
Yes.
But like when my hair stands on end, it's not because of a ghost. That's what I think he was saying.
Oh, okay. Well, that's just a natural
We
response.
don't know that.
No, that's
Well,
a
you said you don't
physical
know, but
natural response.
Yeah.
Because your hairs are
Um,
sensory organs, so it's like they're protruding to sense things.
Fuck.
I derailed your
Deja
time.
vu.
Okay.
Enemies around you can't sleep. Oh, where the fuck was I going with this?
All around me are familiar faces.
you're not helping.
I know. At this
Oh, that
point.
was that was a separate tangent.
Yeah, that was
that
a
I
whole
just wanted-
separate tangent.
So the thing with deja vu, I think, or this is how I explain it, because I don't know how else to, because I've never experienced it
Mhm.
outside of deja vu. But deja vu is like, well, I know what's gonna happen here, blah 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 blah. I think of it as like, you know how when you die in a video game and you load a save, or
Yes.
you respawn at a checkpoint.
Yes.
I think something similar is what's happening when you experience deja vu.
See, I don't like
And-
that though.
And I don't know if it's the same reality that we're responding to, or if it's another version of us that died and we came here, or we die here and we're going to another reality, whatever. But that's how I think deja vu works.
See, I hate that solely because it just makes me uncomfortable. Because like, getting comfortable, are we? My dog's in my lap. She's sleeping. Last week I had deja vu. I was walking the dogs. I had deja vu from like the time I didn't live here. Like this is before I moved out of Oklahoma. I had deja vu about what I was doing, like where I was at and stuff like that. And I was like 12 when I had that.
You just loaded
A
way
wrong
back.
save?
Yeah,
Like,
you
what
loaded the
happened?
wrong thing.
I don't like that.
You're welcome.
I don't
Yeah,
know the science behind deja vu at all, to be honest with you. So
they don't know. They don't know.
yeah,
They don't. That's the craziest thing. It's like the same thing like with why we yawn. Nobody knows.
I thought they did
And
prove something with that. It was like stretching your diaphragm, or like you need intake of
all
air.
assumptions.
All
They can't prove it.
assumptions. Really?
Those are all theories, but there's been no proof.
Don't yawn. Damn it! I
Fuck
just looked
you.
at you, and now I want to yawn.
She said the word. If you say the word over and over, your mind makes you want to do it.
I hate you.
Yeah. So they don't know about deja vu either. You know, they've tried to study it and see if your brain does different things, but you know, it's hard to recreate too. Like it just
Yeah.
happens. You know, it's like
Weird.
something I can make happen right now. You know,
Yeah.
so it's just interesting.
Hmm.
Did you have a deja vu story, Frank?
No, that's pretty much it. Just like his whole thing. Um, I was gonna go on a tangent about deja vu, but I don't remember what it was. So I'm gonna leave it at that. Just the fact that because his whole thing threw me off so bad because I have deja vu, but it's like I'm remembering what I'm doing, but as I'm remembering the memory from like remembering it essentially like a long time ago. It's like one of those things where it's you know something, you smell something, and it's like, oh, it takes you back to when like the memory that it's attached to. It's like that. Like I'll have deja vu, but then that deja vu is attached to that memory, so I'll go back to that. It's just like that's so long ago.
That's your psychic gene.
My deja vu is often, it often makes me feel like I'm doing something that I dreamed about. Like, I had a dream I did this. I had a dream I did this. Like, that's what I feel when I have deja vu.
Mine
I
is
know I
mine is
dreamt about
very
this.
short. It's like every time it happens, it's always I know the very next sentence and that's it.
Oh, so mine is all
Like somebody will say
situational based.
something, they'll be like, "I'm gonna go take out the trash." I'll be like, "Did I say this already?"
Yeah.
Yeah, I do those
That's
sometimes
the
too.
extent.
Yeah.
That's the extent of my deja vu. That's it.
Mine is all situational based. It's not like people or like things I've said or done. It's like I'll be walking and I'll get the sense of like my surroundings, and then I'll remember like I've been here before somehow, some way, and then it's like for a split second I'm like this feels familiar, and then I'm back to when I had that feeling.
hmm So, David, you said something interesting that I have another question about. So, or you guys, when we were talking about, yeah, you do say interesting things, believe it or not.
Yes.
Um, you said like,
I don't like that.
or maybe it might have been Frank, honestly. So
Haha!
don't get too excited. Um, you talked about whether it's like a reload from when you like
Oh, that was definitely
died, I
David.
guess, or
That
whatever,
was
or you were it's
definitely
a
David.
different life, different universe.
Yeah.
So reincarnation, like, do you believe in
Absolutely believe in it. Yep.
reincarnation?
Yeah, that's a David thing. That is not a me thing.
100%. I'm Buddhist.
Yeah.
I've only been Buddhist for actually it's been quite a while now.
I
I
say
got
it's
into
been
it
it's been a while now, I think.
10 years ago.
Wow, really that long? Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I started it on a whim, because you know in the beginning, like during basic and shit like that, they
Oh,
offer
that's yeah.
Sunday services.
You did tell me that.
And everybody's like, "Oh, I want to." This is I'm putting the military on blast, but like we all fucking do it because we're shitbags.
I did it.
Everybody's like, "Yeah, dude, I want to go to the Jewish services
Oh,
because they offer bagels
the bagels.
and you could get free food." Because like, dude,
That's funny.
you get used to eating a certain type of way, and then you join the military and it's very structured.
Yeah.
So they would all rush to that, and I'm like, I don't know, dude, because I wasn't very religious. I would say I was agnostic than anything, and I was like, I don't know, I'll try Buddhist services, whatever. But we didn't have one. So the chaplain, one of the chaplains we had at the time, was like, hey, um, I I don't know what you need, so let me know, and we can accommodate you. And I was like, at per my understanding at that point in time, all I knew was meditation.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know how to do it. I just knew that was a thing. I was like,
Uh-huh.
I guess just a quiet room and maybe a pillow to sit on, so I'm not like hurting my ass cheeks.
Sitting on
Yeah.
the
He was like,
cement.
okay. And they just left me there for 3 fucking hours. I wound up
Oh
falling
wow.
asleep. But ever since then, I was like, you know what? Let me give this a try. And I've just been Buddhist ever since. But yeah,
So
I absolutely believe in reincarnation. I don't know if I believe in the caste system though.
Yeah.
I don't know if I believe in, oh, you do good, you get born
is that
into,
okay? That was that.
yeah,
Right.
or if you do shitty, you get reborn as like a horsefly eating
Yeah.
turds for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I don't know if I believe in that per se, but reincarnation, sure, absolutely.
Do I want it to be real? Sure, because I think that'd be a cool thing to just have. I'm not Buddhist by any means. Really not even
Ooh,
religious by any means. What?
hold on. I now thinking about that, thanks to you asking that question and me thinking about Buddhism and all that bullshit. I wonder if that's why such a big fan of isekai anime.
Absolutely, I think that is
Because I want
exactly
to believe in reincarnation so
reincarnation.
bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I
I
also
wouldn't
went to the
say.
Buddhist stuff. Sorry, Jen, not to cut you off.
No, go ahead. You
Um,
did. I want to hear this.
because of the meditation stuff as well, and my buddy, because neither one of us were like, I don't feel like going to the juice. I don't really like bagels, so I don't want to go to the juice thing. And like, I wasn't religious by any means by that point in my life. And we were just like, let's go to the Buddhist thing. They meditate. I knew about meditation as well. I was like, sure, I'll go hang out with you. I ended up falling asleep through most of it, anyways, just because the meditating thing, you're so tired, you're just like, But yeah, I did the same thing.
Yeah.
I personally don't think of Buddhism as a religion, I guess. To me, like religion in my mind, putting myself out there is just not a positive thing. There's a lot of negatives to it.
Mm-hmm.
Where I think Buddhism is definitely something like I'm never gonna call myself religious, but I think I'm more spiritual, I guess. Like I feel things and I want to do good and karma is real for sure and all of that. Um, More along the lines of that, but I don't know if I'd call it religion so much, I
I think
guess.
society as a whole has ruined the term religion,
It has.
where people
It's
think, oh,
fair.
you have to worship this deity or you're gonna fucking face
Hmm.
divine punishment and yada yada yada.
Oh, you
But
mean the Crusades of
I
Christianity?
I see it as it's not just Christianity. So many other religions have gone on crusades, but nobody ever fucking talks about it.
It's true. It's
See
true.
spiritualism and religion as the same thing. They're one
That's
and the
fair.
same.
I think
And
I'm just
I say
scarred.
that because
Absolutely.
religion is based in belief, and so is spiritualism
Mm-hmm.
because you can't prove it. You know what I mean? It's just something you feel, you experience on the inside and in your head that you believe
Hmm.
to be true. So I think they're one and the same, but I mean, you can live your life however you want. You know what I mean?
Taking
If you hate the term fucking religion, go for it.
mhm.
Say you're spiritual, dude.
Taking us
Yeah,
away
again,
from
I
the
think I'm
religious
scarred.
topic. I'm gonna bring us
Oh yeah,
Ghost.
back to the
yeah.
supernatural part of this, because we do go on tangents a lot, and we're almost out of time. The tarot cards is the last thing I want to bring up,
Ooh.
because I used to not believe in tarot cards whatsoever. I thought it was along the same lines as like the fortune tellers and stuff like that, which whoever does fortune telling, if they watch this, is probably gonna be very mad at me because that is all to me. It's a hoax. It's
They're about to be real mad at me then.
it's
Once
it's
you're done.
it's reading you and your body language and kind of guessing from questions that they ask you and giving you some vague answer that they think you want to hear, and 9 out of 10 they're gonna be right because they give you the vaguest of shit. However, I'm not a tarot professional nor even amateur tarot card reader. I have a tarot deck. I just started reading it. I've done a couple card draws, and I think, me personally, this isn't a spiritual thing or supernatural thing. I think the supernatural thing is that is back into the religion thing because there's a whole set of gods that you can do it with. Like I know Norse pagan stuff, you can do tarot cards and rune reading stuff like that. But also it goes back to the same thing that I'm about to say. Uh, that is more an introspective thing with the tarot cards. I think you drawing your own cards and like kind of understanding how the cards work and then doing introspective thought about that what that means for you is a great thing. However, I do not think there are tarot or supernatural behind it because I've done it both through TikTok, which is going to be very. I know that's a shit thing to say, but I used to send them to David.
Yeah.
I used to send them to David all the fucking time And I've done it myself where I've drawn cards and been like, oh, that ties in really great and like makes me think about this thing that's going on in my life right now. And it's an introspective thing, not a supernatural thing. Go ahead, David.
I'm gonna start off on the good note and then shit on everything.
Okay.
I think, for as far as like tarot card reading and the fucking, what are they called? The crystal globe, the
Crystal
orb
ball?
ponderers,
First of all, fortune tellers.
fortune tellers.
Yeah.
I think there is a supernatural element to it. I think it exists. I think
Ooh.
there are people out in the world who can look at this fucking orb and tell you some shit on a supernatural level and be
Okay.
right about it.
I do not.
Same thing with tarot cards. But
I do not whatsoever.
99% of everybody's experience, and this is just me personally what I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's to go along with what you said about the vagueness that they give you
Yes.
to get to guess right.
Yeah, they're guessing
I
at
think
it.
subconsciously also, because we want to believe in shit as humans. That's our whole thing. We want to believe in shit that we believe in.
Yes.
So subconsciously, they tell us things, and we're gonna delve down that rabbit hole and connect the dots because we want it to be connected.
Exactly. That's the
So
hoax of it.
99% of the time, people are like, "Oh my god, they're so good." But it's not the tarot card reader or the fortune teller. It's you connecting the dots
Yes.
to the vague answer that they
Because
gave
they give you a
and you're
vague
like, "Wow,
answer and your brain's like, oh my god. Yeah.
that's so deep. Oh my god, so profound. How would they know that?" They didn't know it. You knew it, and
Yeah.
you wanted it to be real, so
They
you
just-
connected it to what they were saying.
They just claimed what you did.
Mm-hmm. They're like,
I
"Oh,
really,
recently you had a
really want
fucking."
it to be real.
I do so bad, and I know in my heart of hearts that somewhere it is absolutely real and it's fucking phenomenal.
So
But
go ahead.
it goes back to the whole psychic thing where you're at this day and age, nobody's gonna come out and be like, "Yeah, I can do that."
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
I'm gonna give one statement and then I'm gonna close us out on this tarot card thing. Because as much as I don't know if I want it to be real or not, but the one thing I don't think it's I know for a fact it's not real. I'm just gonna say that out. Attack me if you want. I know it's not real. It's an introspective thought thing that's really good for you. You should do it. Introspective thought is a really good thing to do. But a lot of tarot, or some specific tarot, has to do with gods. So like I'm a loose Norse pagan. I'm gonna call it that. Loose Norse pagan.
Yeah, you are loose, buddy.
Thanks. That you can do the tarot stuff where they draw runes or rune reading and stuff like that. But like Christianity, I'm just gonna go with Christianity because it's easier to explain. I know, but they have one God. So a lot of one broad spectrum God. A lot of different variations, but there's one sole thing. A lot of people are praying and like, oh, answer my prayer, answer my prayer. There's fucking billions of people that are Christians, and you are praying to one thing. One thing. What makes you think he has the time to answer all of even omnipotent, the all fucking thing, omnipotent being? What makes you think he's gonna answer the one question that you ask him? The one prayer. Show me a sign. It's the same thing with tarot reading. Like, okay, you're reading. There's how many people are doing tarot readings at the same time? What makes you think they're gonna be like, oh, send all of these answers out? Like, I just don't see that happening.
My rebuttal.
Sure.
It's not gonna be long winded or anything.
Okay.
So that's the thing with omnipotence and religion itself, though. Right?
Yes.
And this is we're getting away from fucking.
We're back into
supernatural
religion.
again, but technically, it's still the same thing because
It is.
it's not scientific. You can't explain it. You know what I mean?
It falls within the definition of supernatural.
So that's the thing about omnipotence. We don't have it. We have no fucking idea how it works.
Yeah, no
But
clue
we choose
what
we choose to
omnipotent
believe in
actually
it,
means.
and that's what religion is.
Yes.
You're not a Christian, so you can't understand how Christians think.
I was.
Same.
I had to be.
You were forced to do the things that they did, but you
My
were never
guy,
a Christian.
I was a.
Does that make sense?
I
Though?
was the dude that lit the candles in the morning. I sang in choir. I did all that shit.
Yeah, but in here you were never a
Oh,
Christian. You know what I mean?
No, not whatsoever.
That's what I'm saying. You don't.
Okay.
You can't. We'll never really understand each other as a species. This is getting way off topic. But
This is
to
very off
tie it
topic.
back, to tie it back, you can't. That's the thing with omnipotence. It's
Mhm.
something that you have to believe in. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So.
So, anyways, tangents aside, we went for 30 minutes longer than I originally planned to go to, but we were having a great conversation, so we kept going. There's a secret thing that I was doing this episode that I didn't tell you guys. I was judging silently. Because I'm not hosting the next episode, so one of you two are.
And we both know who that is. Psychic wavelength. It's gonna be Jen.
Fuck.
Back me up here, buddy.
You're really putting me in a tough spot here. Because I am both hard-headed, but you're fucking right. And I really don't want you to be. So, it was gonna be you for a very long time in this recording, until you called me out about my preference in women.
Me?
Yes, you.
I'm not even good at this thing.
And then I switched to Jen. And now I want to switch it back to you because of that, but I'm not gonna. So congratulations, Jen. You get to host the next one.
Okay.
Thank you all for watching. The Good, the Bad, and the Undiagnosed. I don't think we're ever gonna define who that is. You get to decide who that is for your own.
It's like the brain cell we share. It changes as we go.
It just, you can watch it through this entire thing. Just be like, boop, over there, boop, down there, boop, back to him.
Yep.
Anyways, I'm very hungry because I didn't eat before this. So I'm going to go do that. And you guys have a great day. And we're going to end this right at 1 hour 30. Goodbye.